Have you informed Ken Dorsey that there's a video camera in the booth?
Oh, yeah.
We have Dorsey. The memes. We got a great kick out of all the all the Dorsey memes last year. It was he's a competitive dude, man. He's a lot of fun, but he wants it bad, and I'll take those people all day long.
All right, this is a treat today. We have enjoyed having Buffalo Bills players on the pod. We've had some really great personalities pop on. Easy team to like. And part of that's because of the culture that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have built in Buffalo. And here he is, the GM, the architect of the whole thing, Brandon Beane. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me on, man. Chris, always appreciate your career, man. You had a heck of a college and then
Thank you.
Super Pro. What were you, number 2, number 3?
Number 2. Yeah, number 2.
Okay, I know.
It was a down year in that draft, though.
No,
so, you know.
Don't start saying that. I don't care what you're. The National Football League, you're a top 5 pick. Enough's been said, man. That's an awesome story.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. The thing I was just we were downloading offline here. Brandon got to Carolina in 1998. I was a huge Panthers fan. Like, I went down to – my dad took me down to do an interview. He was interviewing Kevin Green.
Yep.
And I fell in love with the whole thing. And then I got to go down and watch y'all play the Eagles in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the whole D-line, Buckner, Rucker.
Peppers.
You know, Kevin – Peppers. Yeah. I mean, it was just – I fell in love with that team. So it's so cool to talk to somebody that was a big part of that. Tell me about Carolina and your start.
Yeah, I started as an intern, 1998, right out of college. It's funny, I started as a PR intern for a month. I went to training camp. I was just trying to get in. I didn't know anybody in the business. I knew no one, and so I had actually tried the year before. I got denied, but I at least stayed in touch. Back then, you weren't emailing your resumes; you were faxing them. So I kept having to go to this. I kept having to go to this Kinko's to fax my resume because the guy I was trying to get a job with told me twice he didn't get it, and so I finally I didn't even have a cell phone, and I borrowed like the guy's phone at Kinko's. I said, I'm going to call this guy's office. I'm tired of coming. The guy who gets tired of seeing me in Kinko's trying to fax his damn resume. But anyway, finally got in. I did that for a month, and then I got lucky. I kind of told him at the end of that deal, at the end, training camp back then, if you guys remember, was like 6 weeks. And so
it was hard.
We didn't break camp until right before the 4th preseason game. And so it was – so I went home. I'm home for like a week or two, but I told him, I said, hey, I would love to work on the football side. Like that's my passion. And a guy that was going to be an intern for the whole season, he left. I don't know the whole story. So they called me back, moved me from PR over to football ops. That was Dom Capers' last season as the head coach. And so I was there. Unfortunately, we went 4-12, but made a good enough impression, regime change, and they hired me full-time after that season. So kind of just started working my way up from there.
The Kinko's guy was as happy for you as anybody.
Yeah, he was tired of seeing me, man. He was like, dude, are you an idiot? Like, what's the deal here? I was like, I swear this is the fax number this guy's giving me.
That's so funny. Put on your PR hat for a second. Who on the Bills are you keep you up at night? Like, I'm nervous when this guy gets in front of a microphone or when he leaves the building. Who's your guy on the Bills that you would have took care of as a PR guy?
Gosh, we don't. It's funny, Chris. We don't have anybody that's crazy. Shaq Lawson, I would say early when I got here. You love Shaq. Like Shaq is, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, but
he's wide open.
I got it. You always know when Shaq's coming around the corner. You hear him, and he's a great shit talker on the field. But he's actually matured. He left, came back, and so he would probably be the guy when I first got here. I was like, what's this guy going to say? But he's been a great story for us.
He's a good tone setter. You can tell, like he adds an important personality
he's a dog.
piece.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Exactly.
He's the first one. If there's a fisticuffs or something going on, he's going to be the first one over there to let you know. We're not backing down.
So speaking of shit talking, we came to play y'all in 2013, and y'all were getting after Robert Quinn, and then I got mixed up in some stuff.
Yeah.
And got ejected
I remember
down
that.
there.
It's over on your sideline, wasn't it?
Yes.
I forgot about
Somebody
that.
hit me with a damn beer bottle or something on the way out. Here I am, this childhood Panthers fan. I'm like, I finally get to play at this stadium where I've watched all these games, and they threw me out. Yeah, so that's our little history there. But yeah, no, like with Carolina, I thought it was interesting because there's two positions. Well, obviously you have a mutant for a quarterback who's just otherworldly and's got this amazing skill set.
Yeah.
And then at linebacker, you guys have really valued that position maybe more than other teams. And I wonder how much of the Carolina experience plays into that, because you were there when they drafted Cam.
Yeah.
And you were there with Kuechly.
Yep.
And I think Shaq Lawson as well. So, right?
Shaq Thompson.
Not Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, Thomas Davis, Shaq Thompson, all those guys.
PD. Yeah. So how much does Carolina and what you learned there, what you saw there, kind of translate to how you do things in Buffalo?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, start with Cam on that side of the ball. Just it's a quarterback league, and you could definitely see when we drafted Cam, there wasn't, he was a different breed. It was still pocket passers only, but this guy was like freak show, and you saw all the elements that he brought to the game, and even as a young guy when he's learning the game, when things broke down. The old days, pocket passer, he's going to throw it away or maybe you get a sack or whatever. Cam's going to extend the play and just found a way to keep drives going, even as he was kind of growing into the process. And I think with Josh, same thing. Loved his athletic traits, loved who he was. And like, all right, these young quarterbacks, they have to play early. You got to count on them. It's going to take them a little bit to understand all the different disguises that defenses are throwing out on these D coordinators are really good in this league. And so a guy that's athletic and the size, it was just it made a lot of sense with Josh. And then, the other side, Luke Kuechly, he's a unicorn, as you guys. I mean, this guy is
amazing.
If he had been able to keep playing, I mean, he still should be a Hall of Famer, no doubt. Like he's the best middle linebacker I've ever seen in person. I know there's been some really good ones, but that I've been around like that, just from a smarts, tough. I mean, some guys are instinctive. They don't have to work that hard. It comes easy, as you know, Chris. Some guys are super smart, but maybe when the picture changes, they don't adjust as well. It's just that instinctual feel. This guy is a 12 out of 10 on smarts, intelligence, FBI, and, instincts. And so, when we got here, we did draft Josh, and then we drafted Tremaine. And unfortunately, the business gets in the way. Tremaine goes and signs a $18 million a year deal in Chicago. Happy for him, sad for us, but it is a position that it's that quarterback of the defense. Worked with McDermott in Carolina, brought him here. It's a valuable piece, to what we're doing. But we're in transition there on the defensive side with the middle linebacker spot. But we got some young guys in there, and kind of excited to see who kind of rises to the top when we get to training camp.
I know you drafted a backer, and obviously Tremaine's on his way. I think he's in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So, is it hard to walk that tightrope? But that position is changing so much from a size standpoint, from a standpoint of what you're looking for in that player. I mean, I play with Dante Hightower, and there's not a lot of Dante Hightowers left.
No.
I love watching Matt Milano, but like, who's your perfect kind of linebacker build out look like, and what is it about that position physically that you actually value?
Yeah, I mean, as the game is trending more and more, it's pass first. Teams are passing on downs that they never pass, more than ever, and so it's a matchup game, and when you're going to play, the Chiefs, the Bengals, these teams. They're going to get you in situations. You got great play callers, great play design. They're going to get you in tough matchup situations. And so, yes, they got to be stout. You want them stout enough against the run. You do. You don't want them to be but you don't see that hammer, that Ray Lewis as much anymore. That just firm, knock your ass in the dirt middle linebacker, because a guy with all that lead generally is going to be a matchup problem in the pass game. So you're trying to find it's that hybrid thing. And Milano on a will linebacker, I mean, what a job he's turned into from, this kid comes from BC. He was playing kind of a hybrid role there, safety / linebacker. And, we converted him here. It took him a little time, but he can match up with backs and tight ends in his sleep. And so that's why we've got him. And now we're trying to find that piece. Tremaine, really, really good player. But there were some matchup issues. It's just hard. It's hard to find
He's a big guy
that plays. He's 6'5". So
yeah, I met him. I was looking up at him.
Yeah, you put a little slot on him. It's not fair to him. He's just going to be a little more gangly. So finding the right player that's firm enough against the run, can get off blocks, block protection, all that stuff, and still match up when these heavy pass teams, are going to run some really good, receivers in or tight ends in on them.
So Josh Allen, we talked about that. I mean, a little bit with Cam and your experience there, and a non-standard body type for a quarterback. He improved. He's one of the test cases for, hey, when you want to draft a raw prospect, now everybody's look what happened with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
How though? Because I hear a lot and I watched it happen, but I don't know what the little things were that he improved to put the ball on target, to have the right clock, to go through his progressions. That's above my pay grade. What did he do well differently over those couple years to get where he is now?
Yeah, I think I think a lot. There were some simple things, just his base, his arm angle, like where he was delivering the ball from, just being able to throw from different platforms and still be accurate. I mean, when we worked him out, like you go out there, it's on air. There's nobody like. He was very accurate in our private workout with him, and he was not nowadays you go to these pro days, and I'm sure his pro day was this way. I didn't even go to Josh's pro day because we wanted to work him out private. We gave him a 42 passing script. We gave every quarterback we did, but they didn't get it in prep, so they didn't get to go rep it and all that. And so he went through it, has no idea what Brian Daboll's telling him to do, and I mean he was, other than a few fade balls down inside the 10-yard line, I would say that was the only part I walked away and said, that's not what he does well. He was making every throw, roll, and all that stuff. I think the biggest thing with Josh coming out was his decision-making, like just where to go with the ball, when to deliver it, trying to hold on and going for, when I say decision-making, going for too many home runs, just taking what the defense gives you and understanding that it was a big part of his accuracy. I mean, this guy's numbers were low, but it'd be like a home run, hitter, strikeout or home run. He was swinging for the fence against all odds because he's got this cannon of an arm. You know what? I'm going to rip it in between these three guys. I can do it. I think he had to find out at this level that you can't do that. If this league will punish you, you got to take what they give you. And just, I think ultimately him understanding the game, understanding what's coming, that helped his accuracy more than anything. It wasn't like just sitting out there throwing. He couldn't hit, we got these nets and buckets. He could sit there and hit all that. It was just more in-game decision-making. And then again, he would get a little sloppy with his base, footwork, try and throw without his shoulders being square. Just clean some of that up, clean your decision-making up, and you can make a huge jump.
How easy or hard is it in the pre-draft process to get to know these guys? Because I know one of the intangibles about Josh is he's so likable.
Yeah.
That the guys will like him. He'll be easy to work with on your end of things. How important is that? And are you always sure you're getting the right read on a guy when maybe you only meet him once, twice, 3 times?
Yeah, I mean, listen, nothing's perfect. It's like if you're I was telling somebody, it's like if you're trying to figure out who your wife is, you're dating them, are you going to live with them or not? You don't get to live with a draft pick for a year and then make a decision. But we worked it out. The first time I met Josh was at the Senior Bowl, and we got him into this boardroom. We did it. Baker Mayfield was there, Mason Rudolph, maybe one other, I can't remember, but we got him in this boardroom. just brought him in, watched some film. We spent like 30, 35 minutes with him. So that was kind of our first interaction. And Josh in that one he wasn't the Josh that I came to know in the next time. So he was trying to impress. Like he was nervous. Knowing him, as I got to know him, looking back, he was definitely nervous, trying to say what he thought we wanted to hear versus just being himself. But that first interaction helps us for the next interaction. So that was late January. We see him in Indy for a little bit, visit with him there. Next visit, we go to Laramie. That's where we did the private I talked about. We met him for dinner the night before just to relax. By this point, he's starting to throw, some jokes out or whatever. He's laughing a little. We're busting his chops a little. You're starting to get to feel who he is as a person. And again, you're on campus. You're asking staff about him. We go to this restaurant, and one of the things I noticed about him was he didn't even know I was watching him. I was kind of in the back. We're walking out, and we were walking to this restaurant, and it was late at night. They were only open for us at this point because it was like 11 o'clock. And he knew that these people had stayed longer to let him meet with us in this place. And he walked by like 3 or 4 different servers and bartenders, like, "Hey, thank you for letting us," like just little stuff like that. He had no idea I was watching him, but you felt his personality. You felt he's just a genuine dude. And I tell you the other thing, some of the receivers that came in, so we had this private workout, and we're telling him, "Hey, you got to get some receivers to throw to," and he wants guys that he trusts. And a couple of these guys drove. I knew one of the guys drove like 2 hours. That tells you, like, these guys were not, they look like my flag football team in college. Like, they're not. These guys are not going to the pros to play NFL football, but they love Josh Allen enough. And I can tell you, some of the other quarterbacks that we worked out, some of their better receivers didn't show up for the workout, and that told me a little bit about them too. And this guy's got guys driving, hour to 2 hours, and so the more you got around him, you felt like this guy's got leadership. He's fun to be around. He's a pro. Guys will enjoy. He can be serious when he needs to be serious, but he can break balls when he needs to do that. And it's having that balance, in that quarterback position, which gives you the confidence that, okay, he's got some flaws in his game, but he's going to work. He's going to be, he wants to be great. He's got that confident edge to him. That's what kind of gave us the confidence that this was the right guy for us.
Whose health is it worse for when Josh tucks the ball and runs, him or you?
It's mine. It's
because he looks like he's fine out there. I'm always holding my breath. I've never seen him get up slow. It's always the defender getting up slow.
He's a nut job. That's been. I've never, maybe one game in 2019, he threw a few picks against the Patriots. I asked him a little bit about that game, some decision making that he did. But that's probably the only game in his career I've ever asked him about an interception. You ask Josh right now, what does Beane ever get on to you about? It's about taking unnecessary hits. And I don't mind him taking hits. It's the one when he could step out of bounds. Instead, he wants to try and stiff arm somebody or lower his shoulder. And last year, he gets hurt the Jets game. Very end of the game, he hurts his UCL thing, which he had his rookie year. And we didn't even think he was going to play. The doctors told us on that Monday, they're like, this is probably a 1 to 3 week deal. Not as bad as he did his rookie year, but he's going to be out this week. Could be up to 3 weeks. We think after that he'll be good to go. Well, he's telling me all week, like, I'm playing. I'm like, well, not if the doc doesn't clear you. And so on Friday, so he didn't throw Wednesday, he didn't throw Thursday. Friday, he was told to throw like 30 passes. Don't try and rip them. Just throw them at, I don't know if they told him 70%, 80%, something like that. And then we'll see on Saturday if he comes in, is it swollen? Is it hurting? Is he going to be able to play Sunday? So he gets cleared, but the doctor on this call, it's a separate doctor from us. From our doctors were involved, but we had an outside specialist talking. He's like, listen, Josh, if I'm going to clear you, like, no unnecessary hits, you got to protect yourself. You can be vulnerable. Second quarter, we're playing the Vikings, and it's a scramble play, and he runs. He's plenty got the first down. He's at midfield. I can see it right now. And he's got a safety coming in on him. And does he slide? Does he dodge him? No. He tries to lower his shoulder and run over him. And I'm calling down to our trainer, like, dude, tell this guy at halftime no more, or I'm gonna pull his ass out of the game. And so the trainer tells me after the game, when he told him, Josh just looked at him and smiled. And so that's who he is. You love him, but he just can't help it. He gets in the middle of it, and he just turns the switch of he's got one when he plays the game like a middle linebacker.
No, you can see it. He gets the shark eyes, man,
yeah.
Where he just kind of like goes, he goes blank and just wants to run people over. I know about the jockstrap thing with Case Keenum. I think Dawson told me about that, and he was saying y'all rewarded Josh, because I was gonna say, how do you incentivize a guy that seems so simple and chill, like who wants for nothing? How do you incentivize a guy to get down and slide? Well, you put Case Keenum in a jockstrap at practice.
In the whole weight room.
yeah. So that's creative. Speaking of Dalton Kincaid, who's next on my list, I mean that was outside looking in. You know, I had no idea what y'all were gonna do.
Yeah.
I had no idea who anybody preferred, because I love Mayer, I love Dalton Kincaid. They're different kind of players. Obviously, Mayer took a slide, and I know Josh was really excited about Dalton. What excites you the most about him, and do you see somebody in him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to compare him to a name, but what I would say about him is he really excited us just as a weapon for the pass game. And we were kind of looking at this draft, where are the weapons? Where are the mismatches? Whether it's a receiver, tight end, like who brings an added dimension? Who brings something that we don't already have? And so I thought one of the things that we, were not as good in last year was just production over the middle of the field. You got your outside guys in Steph and Gabe Davis, but we were just probably a little bit misfit toys. Like it just didn't jive either through. We lost Jamison Crowder. I'm thinking Jericho Cottree.
That's a blast from the past.
We lost Jamison Crowder game 3 or 4 of the year, breaks his ankle, and he had been making some really good plays inside for us. And he was a forgotten name. People were, kind of picking on our receivers a little bit. Jamison has had a heck of a career, and unfortunately breaks his fibula against Baltimore, and we missed him. But just finding someone to make plays over the middle of the field and just being a mismatch, like who are you going to put on him? Are you going to put a linebacker on him? Are you going to put a safety on him? And so, some of the questions that we got was like, well, you extended Dawson Knox. How's this going to work? You invested a first-round pick, and we think there's a lot of ways. Not that we're always going to be in this 12 package, but we think there's a lot of ways that he's a flex tight end. Dawson's going to be more of your traditional wide tight end in line. So just getting mismatches and listen, if they're going to play Dalton a certain way, then maybe Dawson's going to get a really good mismatch that we can kind of take advantage of.
Yeah.
At what point in that first round do you start thinking about Dalton and moving up? Because you did move up. You probably looked at Dallas there, who most thought was going to go tight end if somebody was there. At what point is it 15? Is it 20? Is it a team that passes over somebody where you think, oh, this might actually be a possibility, and you start making those phone calls?
Yeah, I mean, in kind of my pre-draft prep, I was first off looking at some of the teams around us, what we kind of had as their top needs and where we thought they may go, what would be facing them, what decisions would they make. And part of it was figuring out where's this running receivers going to happen. And we even thought Dalton, we thought there was 2 teams before 20 that might be interested in him. And then we kind of thought once they got to the 20s, we thought the Chargers and the Cowboys would be 2 teams that we could see potentially taking him. And so when he got past the Chargers at 21, that's when we came in the draft with 6 picks. And so I wasn't like looking to move up and use one of those assets, but Dalton was a guy that really, we just thought was a really good fit, a lot of love for. And so when he got past the Chargers, at that point started checking in with teams to see was there any interest, and had kind of I knew at that point, I'm like, if I can just get in front of Dallas, I don't think any of these other teams are taking tight end here. If they do, now someone could always trade in front of us too. So I got my buddy Joe Shane, who used to be my assistant GM. He's at the Giants now. We kind of worked out a deal through just texting each other that I would hop right in front of Dallas. But Joe then let me know that after the receivers went, I think he wanted receiver or the corner they took. So I don't know the receiver piece, but I'm guessing that's what it was. I think he got a little nervous that, all right, there was a run on receivers. Maybe now there's going to be a run on corners. So he swaps with Jacksonville. And so at that point, jumped on the phone with Jacksonville, and they were a little antsy about moving. They asked a lot of questions trying to figure out who we were going to take.
Yeah.
They wanted that offensive tackle from Oklahoma, who they got. So I'm glad they got their guy, because I was trying to talk them into, they were a little nervous that they were going to lose him. So worked it out, and we're thrilled to get him.
Do you have to tell the other team sometimes to be able to move up, like who you're moving up for?
Yeah, so Trent Baalke, their GM, he says, Brent, I just moved one, and it's funny, I talked to Joe Shane later, and he said he pretty much had to tell him who it was. Yeah. So same thing, he's like, well, you're going to have to tell me who you're taking. I was like, well, Trent, I don't necessarily want to tell you who I'm taking. And he's like, well, we're going to have to figure this out somewhere or the other, because if I don't know that you're not taking my guy, I'm not moving back. And so then he goes, offense or defense? And I said, offense. And he goes, all right, I need more. And so then he goes, big or small? And I said, medium. And so he goes, are you taking a tight end? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, let me call you right back. Well, it's like the longest 2 minutes, and he still hasn't called back. And now I'm hearing Jacksonville's on the clock. I'm like, so I call him back. I'm like, Trent, I'm telling you, we're not taking the same guy. I think I know where you're heading. We're not taking the same guy, and you're going to get him. And so he was nervous about it. I'm glad he got his guy. I wouldn't have wanted to work against.
That's funny. Yeah. That's funny. Hey, you're a Giants fan right here. Anything you want to tell Joe Shane by way of Brandon?
Yes, send me everything you get.
Well, I'm glad you jumped in front of.
Well.
I'm glad you jumped in front of Dallas. Thank you for letting Brian and Joe go spread their wings and getting us a playoff win in MetLife. No, if Joe says yeah, we're gonna go receiver or corner, and then takes Dalton Kincaid from you at 24. I mean, is the friendship over at that point?
Well, we didn't. We never talked. I just kind of knew. I felt like with Dable, they were going to be looking for receiving weapon, which they went and got Jalen Hyatt there in the second. So we didn't get into those specifics, and he didn't know who I was. Joe didn't know who I was after. So it would have been fine. I didn't listen. We're boys, but we don't trust each other that much to tell each other who you pick.
Yeah. I've been asking a couple of I had a couple former GMs on the last couple of weeks, and now I got an active GM. Who's a guy that when he calls, you're like, this is not good, because he's got the upper hand?
I don't know. I think it's just you definitely, there's definitely people that you enjoy working with. They're not trying to they're not trying to screw you. They're looking for fair. And there's always people that call. There's not always. There's a handful that when they call, you're like, all right, they got to win the deal. Like they're so scared not to win the deal, or somebody's gonna second guess them. But I do less deals with them.
That's good. You got it mapped out. Listen, you went through a tough thing with Luke Kuechly and the concussions. I know it's hard when you watched. I don't know if it was right after you. Was that kind of?
It was right after I left. Was when he
after you left. Yeah.
He shut it down.
Yeah, I know it's hard to watch that stuff, and then the Damar thing's a whole nother level. I've talked to your guys about that. We don't have to go backwards, but looking forwards, it's exciting. He wants to play football again, and first off, the fact that he's alive and that he's healthy, that was hard for I think anybody in the fraternity that night. I'll never forget it. But here we are talking about football again, and that's exciting. How hard is it for you, having gone through that and loving the kid like I know you do, now to be, is the word you use, dispassionate and like do your job being a football man and not not let it bleed into this is how I feel about this kid and his journey. Like, is it going to be tough to make decisions on a guy like Damar? And do you feel nervous about that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. All things that have all gone through our, my head and still do. I go back, we were talking about him with somebody yesterday. It's just, I go back to when it happened, and then, to be where we're at today, this guy was, had to be revived on the field, and then, we're there with him, and, in the hospital, and you're seeing him the way he looks, and, he's fighting just to breathe and live, for those first 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
And to think that was in January, early January, but in January, and you're talking about mid-April, this guy got his full clearance to play NFL tackle football again, is surreal. It's something that I never, when I'm, we're there in the hospital with his parents, like, you're not thinking about him playing football again. You just want him to first live, and then secondly, can he live a normal life? And everything else is gravy. And so it's something that's unprecedented. I've been in this league, 25 years now, and I hope I never witness anything like that again. As you said, it's we all compete against each other, but it's a brotherhood, and especially when it's one of your own out there, you want what's best for them. And this is America's gotten to see, this is a great young man, raised the right way. His parents, two-parent home, working family, got a younger brother. Mom runs a daycare. Dad's running a trucking business, and still doing all those things. And just the strength and the love that these parents showed when, for their son was pretty inspirational to me as a parent. Like, I want to be like they are. And so where we fast forwarded to with Damar, it's we're going to support him. He wants to try and do this. He's seen 3 outside specialists, 2 specialists here in Buffalo, so 5 total, and they're all in sync to. It was this Commotio cordis deal, which I had never heard of before his situation. I knew way too much about Commotio cordis.
Now, yeah,
it's but we're going to support him. It's not going to be easy though. For any, you're talking about now. He's working out. He's doing that stuff with his teammates. We're starting phase 2, but there's still going to be some mental hurdles. We know. Just even if he can get on the field in OTAs, just putting that helmet back on, going out there in non-pads, and then getting the training camp. Now we're putting pads on, and it's really for real. So I think there's still some hurdles to go, but excited for his journey, and we're going to support him. Every step of the way.
Have you talked to Les Snead in person or run into him since you stole Von Miller from him? Because that looked like it really hurt my boy's my boy's heart out there.
Les is good. I love Les. Les is a good dude. We talk, but we haven't really specifically talked about Von. That's one of those ones. Same thing.
It doesn't come up.
I've lost guys before, and you just kind of say, shit, part of the business. But Von was having a heck of a year till he got rolled into and got that ACL in Thanksgiving Day. But he's a genetic freak. He's doing well, and we're excited that he's going to be back. He's got a chance to be ready by the opener. It'll be close. I know he's pushing for it. I think we'll have to hold him back if anything.
And have you apologized to Josh Norman for making him infamous by signing him almost immediately? Was that one of his first games, the Derrick Henry stiff arm?
It was. Yeah. It was. I think we played him that was a COVID year, I think, but we played him maybe like week 4 or 5. And God, we went out there and got shredded. Our whole game was like that one. That was a microcosm of how the Titans did us that day.
Well, yeah, and it was like all messed up. Y'all they had like some shorter rest or something, or it was just crazy.
The game was supposed to be played on Sunday, I think. Then it got moved to Monday. Yeah, because we were going to have a Sunday and then a Thursday game with the Chiefs.
Yeah,
it was a Sunday game. Then we got told at one point we got told some of our guys got word through the PA that the game was going to be canceled. So then the league says, no, we're not canceling. Wait another day. And so we ended up sending the players home. It was the weirdest week.
It was weird. It was
ever.
Weird. Yeah.
Then it gets moved to Monday, and then we came in and they're like, no, don't travel today. Travel tomorrow. We're going to move it to Tuesday. So never played a Tuesday night football, even in Pee Wee football.
I know. Yeah. No, I know. It's the weirdest week of day of the week. Last question for you. You've been gracious with your time. We appreciate you.
Have you informed Ken Dorsey that there's a video camera in the booth?
Oh,
we have Dorsey. The memes. We got a great kick out of all the all the Dorsey memes last year. It was he's a competitive dude, man. He's a lot of fun, but he wants it bad, and I'll take those people all day long.
Yeah, you want that guy who's messing things up in the booth a little bit. And then lastly, how excited are you for Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert to get off these rookie deals?
Yeah, it's come to our company and pay and pay these 40 plus now they're going over 50 plus deals. They are game changers for sure with how you got to shape your roster up, but good problems to have.
Yeah, no question. AFC is going to be a lot of fun. Brandon Beane, awesome job. Keep it up. We love watching the Bills. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Come back again. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.